the ogre in Shrek and also Po from Kung Fu Panda are not the usual heroes, even though they generate a big feeling of empathy to the public. With which feature of them do you think the public feel more identified?
Well, I think in both cases, both Shrek and Po are kind of unlikely heroes. And maybe they share that in common. They're also very large. But, I think that, Po the panda is just a very sweet, lovable, huggable, vulnerable character, very, very different from Shrek in that way. People just love pandas. And, so it's just something very charming about them.
Po looks in so many ways very similar to the dubbing actor Jack Black. Do you thought about him from the beginning, or those details were added later?
Very, very beginning. The directors wanted him. That was their very first choice, and he was making Shark Tale for us at the time. And in fact, the first time I asked him, he said no, because he was too busy and had too many things, and he just he didn't want to take on something else. But a year later, I went back and I showed him some animation, using his performance from another movie, and he loved it. So, thankfully. I don't know how we would have done without him.
Okay. The dream scene has a very similar aesthetics to Samurai Jack. Was that planned?
I think it's more a homage to Japanese anime, and that I think if you sort of look at sort of rich colors and contrasts that are sort of at the core of anime, which may be where that inspiration came from.
Maybe Samurai Champloo?
Is that I think maybe Samurai Jack was influenced by it in the same way that we were influenced by it.
Yeah, it's possible. I think in Samurai Champloo. Do you know that anime?
No.
Ah, okay. DreamWorks has been progressively evolving from the traditional animation to 3D. Are you planning to create more traditional feature film?
Well, nothing current. I mean, to me, I've always said it's about the story, and we'll use whatever technique will help us tell the story in the best way. And right now, today, the tools that exist for CG animation are really quite extraordinary, and the textures and details and dimensionality and the color palette and all these things that you can do today in computer animation is pretty extraordinary. And so, I think when somebody comes along with the right story, as we saw in the dream sequence, 2D animation can be quite compelling too, and very beautiful.
The 3D is the future of animation?
Well, 3D is the future of everything, and I think that not to confuse that, which is that the movies that we are making are CG, and they look dimensional, but they are still two-dimensional pictures that they create. And what 3D is referring to is this next new amazing innovation in filmmaking and film theaters, which you can see in the movie theaters. And with new digital technology, coming on stream here, we are going to be able to make and to exhibit in movie theaters a new 3D experience that I think is going to blow audiences away. I think it's going to change movies forever.
Thread sequels have been confirmed. There are also rumors about more stories of Kung Fu Panda. Is that true?
Well, we'll see. If it's successful everywhere around the world, there is a sort of master story for Po. There are, for us, a number of additional chapters to Po's story, and we hope we get to tell them. But it really starts with the first one being successful and people loving it, and it would seem today as though that's most likely it will happen, but we want to wait for it to open here in Europe, where it has not yet. And I never presume or count on success. You let it happen. If it does, we're ready.
Okay. Where does DreamWorks Animation want to go as a studio?
Well, the next thing for us, and it's huge. I cannot say it, loud enough or forcefully enough. There is a revolution coming, not an evolution. And it is these 3D films, which starting next year in 2009, Easter here in Spain, we will release the first one of these completely new generation 3D films in Monsters vs. Aliens. And when people see this, it will forever change how we think of movie theaters and what we as filmmakers can do in the kinds of stories that we make. And to give you an analogy, it's the last two times that there was this kind of complete transformation in movies was when they went from silent film to sound, and when they went from black and white to color. And 20 years from now, people will talk about the third revolution of movies is when they went from 2D to 3D. And so it's a pretty monumental thing that's about to occur. And, I'm excited because we're sort of the first ones out with it.
That's it.
Everything?
Okay.